Hi, I'm Ryan Wallner. I'm a lead developer advocate here at Dell Technologies. My background is really working in storage and Kubernetes.
I'm Tim Banks. I'm also a lead developer advocate here at Dell, working with Ryan. My background is mostly operations, systems architecture, cloud economics, and FinOps. We get the question, what are you doing here a lot? The fact of the matter is that Dell has been active in the cloud native space and the DevOps space for a while, but Dell has the understanding now that here in 2023, 2024, we can't just be a company that sells hardware. We have to sell solutions. And we have to sell solutions to customers who have different problems than the customers that have been the Dell customers for the past almost 40 years, right? Our customers are born in the cloud, right? Our future customers, where we're going to get growth, are people who had never been in a data center, have never used a VM. They only know containers, they only know serverless functions. And so to get them to get up to speed on how the on-prem space has gotten up to speed, that's a big lift, right? Because they're not familiar with it at all.
Education is something we take very seriously. It's what we have to do with both our conversations internally and with these communities, right? Kubernetes and cloud native being a big one, but it's not the only one we go to. We attend DevOps days, we organize them, and education is a big part of that. We're trying to change the conversation, right? What is Dell doing and how are they participating? So a big part of that is giving back to the community, both in contribution, but also with resources like Instruct to develop labs that allow them to explore Argo CD or GitOps, something they're not going to think about associating Dell with from day one, right? They're going to think servers or hardware or laptops, right? But if they go to where we're developing stuff and they're like, oh, they're doing more with Argo, doing more with automation and Ansible, they can go touch that and get hands-on with that, which is I think a way that this community learns really well, right? There's obviously video, there's hands-on, there's audio, there's reading, but I think if you're not doing something with labs where people can get hands-on, engineering, more technical folks, then you're kind of losing a big branch of that.
Dell has really two types of customers. Again, we have the cloud native customer, and we have what our legacy customers. And so when I say a legacy customer, these people who've been using Dell for years, have always used Dell for decades and decades, use a lot of legacy technology, but now here we are where software development has changed. How you utilize your infrastructure resources has changed, right? And I think Dell is a good analog for that type of customer because we're doing the same thing about trying to move forward. So when we're engaging with a lot of these communities, we're asking for knowledge. Tell us what you know. Tell us what you need. How can we participate, right? We're asking for them. When we're dealing with some of our older customers, some of our older verticals, especially in some of the engagements where we talk about more traditional vendors and traditional communities, we're saying to them, hey, look, these are the things that the other communities are doing, and this is how we can enable you to do those things if you want to.
Yeah, I think the big thing that we're doing is we're developing labs that anyone can try, right? So a meaningful connection is not necessarily one you're always aware of, right? It's being a good steward of a community or a group, right? So you want to be thought of as someone who knows what they're talking about, knows how to give back and educate and really extend that to both customer and community. I think we're using Instruct as a way to connect with those communities, and the labs aren't only available to external communities where you'll find that a lot of people here will be ahead of a curve, whereas a lot of our customers that you were talking about legacy-wise, they're years behind, right? So we kind of have to think about the depth of what we're trying to do and where someone is starting. So we have sort of an advanced topic, sort of a basic topic, and we can kind of put those together, string them together to say, hey, if you just want to get familiar with these things, here's a way to do it. We're giving it to you for free, and if you have questions, come back and talk to us. It definitely doesn't stop there, right? At the end of the day, we're still having them be interested in what's running under the covers, right? If it's a Dell product, it's a Kubernetes integration, we want them to be aware of it and see the value that we're bringing to it, but that's not the first touch experience, right? But Instruct definitely lets us kind of feed them through however they want to get there.
Well, the first thing they do is they always have more questions, right? You know a little bit, you learn a little bit, now I have more questions, which is great because they now have more questions about things. We can say, hey, I can answer this question for you, or you know what, I can't answer that question, Now we need to go and do our own learning so we can bring that back to the community. Like, I want to know what needs are not being met. Whether that comes to a product, whether that comes to a solution, whether that comes to education, right? This didn't tell me what I needed to know in order for me to use this. Great, you tell me why, and then we'll get that fixed.
A big part of what we set out to do a little over a year ago, is really to develop that trust aspect. They need to trust us in this ecosystem, that we're not just funneling through them in some sales funnel, right? At the end of the day, we want them to trust us, trust what we're saying, and also engage with us in a kind of an equal way, right? So trust is key, and if we don't do that right, we can't go beyond to the next level.
Something I've always said, it's like when you want to get good at something, right, you got to suck at it first. So we're in this space where we're new in this project and we're learning as we go along. And we're learning from the community more than anything else what they need and how we can help them fulfill those needs. We don't always get it right, and we need to know from the community when we don't.
I think a lot of it's going to be expansion, right? The first year was really tackling that trust, that, answering the question of what's Dell doing here. I think we're getting traction there. Now we have to, put more effort into giving back to those communities. Yeah. That means, developing our open source communities. That means developing more labs. It means really engaging with our customers more now that we've developed that trust. So a lot of it's really expanding on a lot of the topics that we've kind of grown in our backgrounds, right?
I think we're going to go from the point where we're playing catch up to the community to finding out where we can lead. We want to go from just saying like, hey, we can do that too, to like, now watch us. Dell has recognized something that I think all large companies and small companies recognize, that we are here because of the open source community. Like, none of the things we do, whether it's Linux on a server, whether we're running OpenSSH, whether it's Apache, Bind, any of these things, we would not be here with the internet that looks like it does without the open source community. And so it is okay for you to contribute back to it without a single sale coming from it, because you are already benefiting from it.